Well, it's historic, and I know that because I watch CNN. I'm Scott Ott, and this is Bill Whittle Now. And Bill, as we go to record this, it is, CNN tells us, roughly 23 hours before the historic impeachment hearings in Congress begin on the impeachment of President Donald J. Trump. And I guess I just wanted to give you an opportunity going into this to kind of give your thoughts to our viewers about how to approach watching or listening to these. And we'll get into some specifics. But just in general, Bill, I need to ask you this. This is a very serious constitutional process. And heretofore, Republicans in Congress have done little more than just reject it out of hand, say that it is illegal, that it's unethical, that it's a witch hunt, that it's a show, and all of that. Nevertheless, Bill, it's happening. And so how does one, if you're in Congress, specifically the House of Representatives at this point, conduct oneself in the face of a constitutional procedure that the Democrats say will not be run as a political show?
Well, we already know that's a lie. So that's a good way to start off.
Is it a good way, though, Bill? Because that's what I just asked was the Republicans have dismissed everything out of hand, and you're saying that that's the continued approach Republicans should take.
What else do you want to do? Do you want to take it seriously? It is, in fact, a witch hunt. That's exactly what it is, and everybody knows it. What else can you do? As far as viewers at home are concerned, I'm certainly not going to watch it. I have seen so much of this garbage, and I've seen it so relentless as this unelected group of people in the government continue to do their very best to thwart the will of the American people. And as the Democrats continue to debase society by making what should be a national tragedy and something of very, very serious import into essentially a do-over because they still don't like the way the 2016 election turned out. I had a friend who was at a Donald Trump Jr. rally at UCLA 2 days ago. He said the Trump supporters outnumbered the protesters by about 200-1 at UCLA. So keep it up, Dems.
Was this the same one that Donald Trump Jr. felt that he had to just step away from because he was heckled relentlessly?
I don't know if it was the one he stepped away from. I didn't get that impression from the person who told me about the event. They said he gave better than he got. But I'm beyond caring about this stuff in terms of caring about it on an operational level.
But again, Bill, it seems like you're whistling past the graveyard because you can't come to grips with the fact that it's actually happening. So now I completely come to grips with the fact that it's actually happening. So if you're in this hearing, do you do nothing but give speeches about what a witch hunt it is?
I am 100% aware of the fact that it's actually happening. I'm also aware of the sparsity of evidence that this is based on, and I'm aware of the fact that from the election of this guy, it's been one damn thing after another. Russia. No, Russia. Ukraine. And I'm sick of it. And so it's not whistling past the graveyard. I've said this before. They're going to do it. Let them do it. It's going to cost them the election. That's fine with me. All that matters is whether or not they can remove Donald Trump from office. And in order for that to happen, the Senate would have to vote for that. And I don't see that happening. So they can have their little puppet show all they want to, and they can thump their chests all they want to. But I have never ever seen this side of the aisle as angry and as fired up as we are now. So go for it.
So the members of these committees are going to be given a great deal of time to explore questions. And frankly, a lot of the questions are not going to be asked directly by politicians, but rather by attorneys in the employ of the House of Representatives who are asking these. But if you're a Republican legislator and you do have an opportunity to ask questions of the witnesses who come before this committee, Bill, do you simply do what you just did and give a speech about how it's a witch hunt and it's the whole thing is a sham? Or do you actually explore with the witness what he saw, what he heard? Is it possible that the president committed impeachable offenses? Or do you just do what everybody else seems to be doing, which is playing politics and basically saying, well, we know you didn't see anything and you didn't hear anything, so we just want to embarrass you?
I would do what I'm doing now because that's my take on not only on the evidence that's available, but how the evidence was produced, what what parties were involved with the production of the evidence and this entire procedure. I think this entire procedure is absolutely, utterly illegal. Let me rephrase that. It's immoral. It's immoral and it's un-American. So they want to do this. They've got the legal right to do it. They've got the constitutional right to do it. Let them do it. Let them do it.
So you don't ask any questions.
If I thought there was anything here, or if that there was anything honest at all about this process, then yes, I'd be willing to sit down and listen to the witnesses and see what they had to say. But at this point, given how the whole thing was put together, I'm at the point where I don't even care what the witnesses have to say. I'm watching a coup in action, and I am simply going to say, fine, do your worst. Do your worst. You can even impeach this guy and he'll be reelected over your impeachment. I'm telling you, I have had enough of this bullshit. I've just tired of it, Scott. I've had it. I've had enough.
So if you're on that panel, you don't even ask a question. You don't say anything. You just say, I defer to the guys on the other side of the aisle.
If I still see the same evidence that I see now, I ask questions in defense of the president. That's what I do if I'm a Republican. This is not the Watergate hearings. This is not a case of like absolutely openly admitted guilt and a cover-up and lying and all the rest of it. It is witch hunting with anonymous sources and guys running around with bags over their heads so that they're not recognized. And the whole thing from start to finish is a counteroffensive based on the fact that Hunter Biden is the one who's been nibbling on the Ukrainian carrot a little longer than maybe he should have. So what do you want me to say? Do you want me to take this seriously? I don't take it seriously. I'm not saying it's a serious business. I just don't take it seriously. I refuse to credit it. I refuse to credit it with any degree of solemnity. It is a partisan hack hunt. It is destructive to the United States of America. It's a lowering of the standards of what impeachment is supposed to be. It's all of these things. And the only consolation I get from it is that I think it's going to cost them in a landslide. I certainly hope so. I know I plan to vote 9 or 10 times. Since I live in a democratically controlled state, that shouldn't be any problem for me.
So I guess what I'm asking, Bill, is much in the same way that folks once said, you know what? I don't agree with the current president of the United States when it was Barack Obama. I don't agree with the president, but I respect the presidency. Can you not look at this procedure and say, look, I don't think we should be conducting an impeachment hearing, but I respect the Constitution. I respect the majority that was able to make this vote to do this. This is the people's house, and it has been conducted, at least as you suggested, in a legal manner. And so therefore, I'm going to do my due diligence to ask the kinds of questions that will draw out whatever it is that the witnesses actually know.
It takes a lot of nerve to talk about preserving the integrity of the office of the president and then be on the impeachment side of this goat rodeo. No, I don't. Look, when Nixon was impeached, when he was impeached, but he wasn't recalled, he resigned. When Nixon was impeached, there was a clear crime that had been committed. There was a clear case of cover-up that had been committed. There was 18 minutes or whatever it was of missing tape and so on. And the cover-up continued and so on and so on and so on. And there was an evidence paper trail that was definitive, clear, and obvious to everybody from the beginning. And the same thing with Bill Clinton when he was lying under oath. That's what he was impeached for, was for the perjury, not for the fact that he was fooling around on the Oval Office desk, but it was for the perjury. That also was recorded on videotape and available for anybody to see. This thing is a gigantic, it's just a shower of rumors and innuendos from people who have been as discredited with this as the entire Mueller investigation. You may remember the Mueller investigation. Perhaps you can Google it or something. Maybe you'd want to look it up, because as I recall, this time last year, everybody was on fire about how Donald Trump was absolutely 100% guilty of collusion with the Russians. And at the end of 2.5 years, $50 million and 500 witnesses, they couldn't prove a single damn thing. So if you want me to take these people seriously, they're going to have to take themselves seriously. I don't take them seriously. I don't give them any respect whatsoever. I consider this entire thing to be an absolute travesty. I think it's on a scale approaching what they did to Brett Kavanaugh. And I think they want to take the gloves off, then and the gloves are coming off. I think it is just absolutely monumentally evil is what I think it is. And if you're going to make impeaching the president a partisan issue that goes right down partisan lines, then you don't understand the entire idea of what impeachment is supposed to be.
Bill, if that's the case, then it occurs to me that the constitutional process of impeachment is dead. And by that, I mean...
Yes, I agree.
That it can't possibly be used going forward in any context with any
absolutely.
president from either party, because there's nothing but it's an ongoing political campaign.
Correct.
It's not really to remove somebody who may have committed high crimes and misdemeanors.
100%. And so you can expect that every single president who is elected from this point forward will be impeached by Congress. That is something that you can take to the bank.
So what's changed? Because Richard Nixon was impeached, but Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan were not impeached. Bill Clinton was impeached, but George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush and Barack Obama were not impeached. And suddenly Donald Trump is being, at least he's not impeached yet, but they're initiating these things. So if he is impeached, doesn't that in itself say something that makes this significant, Bill? Because they didn't impeach everybody.
No, it says something significant. It absolutely says something significant. And what it says is that these honorless, gutless, characterless progressives know that they're getting whipped out there. They know that nobody wants to buy this thing, and their hatred for the man who calls them out on it is so intense that they no longer have any respect for the country, the Constitution, or anything else. I saw what they did to Brett Kavanaugh with my own eyes, and I thought I would never see anything that vulgar and that un-American again, but I had once again underestimated the venality of the people who work on the left side of the political spectrum in this country. I once again utterly underestimated just how low these people will go. So here's where we are. We're right where we were before. Launch your proceedings, launch your investigation, bring articles of impeachment in your democratically controlled House. It'll go to the Senate where it will be defeated. Donald Trump will remain in office, and the conservatives in this country will look at this ongoing 4-year coup d'etat with a special kind of vengeance when November comes around in 2020. I mean, a real vengeance is the sense I'm getting everywhere out there. Vengeance is the word that is being generated by this behavior. And so if the progressives want to make a fight on this as the hill they want to fight on, then that's fine with me. I've had enough of it. The American people have had enough of it. And the people that elected Donald Trump have had enough of it. Because when they launch impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump, they're impeaching half of the country. And they know it. They're impeaching the stupid half. They're impeaching the working half. They're impeaching the saps who have jobs. Those knuckle-dragging nobodies in flyover country who got out of line and elected somebody who wasn't pre-approved. So that's what they want. That's what they've got. And now they're going to suffer the consequences for it.
So for our final question, let's just do a thought experiment. And I know the premises of this are going to seem absurd, but play along with me if you will.
Oh, it's all right. It's not going to be more absurd than what we're seeing on a daily basis, but please continue.
Let's say that Hillary Clinton rides to the rescue of the flailing Democratic field and manages to get the nomination for 2020. And somehow, miraculously, through whatever agency, she winds up getting elected as president of the United States. She continues the kinds of behavior that she's engaged in since the old Rose Law Firm days and commits offenses that you and the majority of Republicans in the House and the Senate believe are impeachable offenses. But there's no way to get an impeachment vote to convict because the Democrats are too numerous in the Senate. Do you just say, well, you know what? It would be a waste of time to impeach somebody who's committed high crimes and misdemeanors, so all we're going to do is bash her in the media and, on YouTube until the day that she waltzes out of office legally?
Since you use Hillary Clinton as a specific example, Hillary Clinton walking away from the multiple felony charges against her as Secretary of State that could and should have been leveled by the director of the FBI who made a 45-minute indictment of her, only to have the Justice Department say, "Oh no, we're not going to take this case." That was the turning point for me as far as this country goes. That was the point where I saw Japanese soldiers cutting the arms off of Marines that we sent over there to take their surrender and give them medical care. That's when I just decided to say to myself, okay, got it. I understand how this works. And if you think 54 suicides or whatever the number is of the people who've been close to the Clintons, does it not bother you that every single person in the country knows that Epstein was murdered by somebody Doesn't that bother you? Does it not strike you as somehow that the entire country has been sedated or tranquilized in some way when every single person on both sides of the aisle know that man was murdered in prison and no one's doing anything about it?
So, Bill, to what do the people resort if they don't have a way of getting a corrupt president out of office through impeachment? Because you pretty much acknowledge impeachment is dead. Now, if if the people get in there that you don't like and the partisan recipe is switched, you're basically saying we just have to suck it up and live with Hillary Clinton for 4 to 8 years.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if you're going to impeach Hillary Clinton, you'd better have enough evidence to do it. And God knows there's enough evidence to do it. If Donald Trump had the kind of absolutely monumentally right in front of your nose felonious activities that Hillary Clinton has displayed at the time she was Secretary of State, then I'd be in favor of impeaching the guy. But it isn't. You can't equate the two. And since this is not based on anything remotely like a national emergency where both parties are forced to the horrible conclusion that we have to do this terrible, terrible act, I am at the point when I'm willing to say, okay, I understand the kind of people I'm fighting against now, and I understand their tactics. I've seen them in action. I'm going to come back to Brett Kavanaugh one more time because it was the most disgusting, disgraceful, low, pathetic assault I've ever seen. And now I know who I'm dealing with. Now I know who I'm dealing with and what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with Saul Alinsky. That's who I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with Saul Alinsky. I'm dealing with Bill Ayers. I'm dealing with people who hate every single thing that this country is about and have been doing their level best for the last 50 years to destroy it. And now I am no longer looking at this as a political situation or a political debate. I am now looking at this as an ongoing coup d'etat. And I am confident that the Republicans will reject this offer in the Senate. That will be the end of this dog and pony show, and the people will rise up with the kind of anger that they have not seen since the Civil War.
Well, if you're about to enjoy the strange buffet of the impeachment hearings, we hope that this little palate cleanser has been refreshing for you. It's brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com who fund this enterprise, and also by our friends over at the Patriot Post, America's News Digest. You'll find a link to the Patriot Post in the description below. We know that you're going to enjoy visiting them. If you're listening to us as a podcast, please share this podcast with others so that they get to enjoy this on their way to work, out in the yard working or exercising. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss a single one of these videos. Of course, if you'd like to become a member at BillWhittle.com, you can do that by going to that website and clicking the Become a Member link. For Bill Whittle, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks for watching.